All right, let's dive into a topic you've probably heard buzzing around, the idea of starseeds. Today, we're going to unpack what this really means, looking at what a range of experts and sources have to say about it. We'll explore why so many people feel this deep connection to the stars and what it could mean for all of us.
So much of this whole conversation really starts with the work of hypnotherapist Dolores Cannon. What she found was fascinating. Under hypnosis, person after person started describing the same thing, being a volunteer soul from somewhere else, here on Earth for a specific purpose, right now. That single, powerful idea, it's the launching pad for everything we're going to cover.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at this cosmic mission everyone talks about. Then, we'll get into the real personal stuff, the feeling of alienation that so many people describe. After that, we'll zoom out and see how this could actually affect things on a global scale. And finally, we'll hit the big one. Are we talking about literal beings from other planets, or is this all a powerful metaphor for our time?
Okay, let's start with the mission itself. How does someone, activate it? Is your purpose already written out for you, a kind of cosmic destiny? Or is it something you have to consciously choose, day in and day out?
Well, what the experts seem to agree on is that it's not an either-or deal. It's more like a dance between the two. Think of it like this. Your destiny might be the sheet music, that beautiful song written in the stars, but it's your free will, your daily choices, and your intention that actually sits down at the piano and plays it.
And this quote, which is often attributed to the channeled entity Bashar, just nails that idea perfectly. Destiny writes the program, but free will presses the keys. The potential, the blueprint, it's already coded in, but it takes our actions, our choices, to actually run the program and make it real.
Okay, but this brings up a huge question about timing. Across the board, these sources keep pointing to 1 year in particular, 2025. Why? What's the big deal about that specific year? What makes it so critical for this mass awakening?
From what we've gathered, it's like a perfect storm of 4 different factors. They say the planet's own energy field has hit a new level. We're also at what's called a nodal point in the grand cycle of civilization. On top of that, humanity as a whole has apparently reached a tipping point, a new threshold of readiness. And then you have this quantum idea that different possible futures are all converging, forcing us to make a big, conscious choice about which path we're going to take.
All right, so let's shift gears and get personal. Because a really huge part of this starseed experience isn't just about a mission. It's about this deep, sometimes painful feeling of not belonging and the journey of facing your own inner darkness, what's often called the shadow. And this is a central paradox, isn't it? If these souls volunteered to be here to help, then why does the experience so often feel lonely? Why this profound sense of being an outsider, of not really feeling at home on your own planet?
The sources use these really powerful metaphors to describe it. They call it a kind of cosmic culture shock, or that it feels like you're a flower blooming out of season. It's this gut feeling that you're just wired differently, operating on another frequency. And it might come from this deep, forgotten memory of a place that felt more whole.
But, and this is a really important but, the experts give a serious warning here. There's a major trap called spiritual bypassing. This is where someone might use a cool cosmic identity, like being a starseed, as a way to avoid doing the hard work of healing their own human pain and trauma. It's a way to escape, not to grow. So how do you avoid that trap? Well, they lay out a pretty clear 4-step path to integration. It all starts with grounding, getting into your body, being present. Then comes radical self-honesty, really looking at your fears without judging them. The 3rd step is a huge mental shift, reframing that feeling of alienation not as a weakness, but as a call to lead in a new way. And finally, finding your people, connecting with a community that gets it.
Okay, we've gone deep into the personal journey. Now let's zoom all the way out to the planetary level. Because the whole point of this mission is supposed to be about creating a collective shift. But really, can a small number of people actually change the consciousness of billions?
The key idea here isn't about numbers. It's not about winning a vote. It's all about something called coherence. The theory goes that a small group of people, if they're vibrating in a very aligned and harmonious way, can create a resonant field so powerful it can literally influence the entire collective consciousness.
And this influence is said to work in 3 main ways. First is that resonance we just talked about, creating that powerful, coherent field. Second is by being way-showers, the people who make wild, extraordinary ideas feel normal and accessible to everybody else. And third, by acting as bridges, connecting humanity to totally new ways of thinking and being, and maybe even to interstellar civilizations.
Look, the crucial point here is that we're not just talking about some vague spiritual feeling. The potential outcomes they describe are incredibly concrete. Things like the release of suppressed technologies for free energy or healing, a massive cultural shift away from just buying stuff, new ways of running our schools and governments, and yeah, even kicking off open diplomatic relations with our cosmic neighbors.
But of course, it's not presented as a walk in the park. There are huge hurdles. On the outside, you've got resistance from systems that don't want to change, plus all the usual disinformation and distraction. But maybe even more important is the internal resistance, the self-doubt, the fear, and the lack of clarity that can hold anyone back.
Okay, it's time to tackle the big one. The question that's probably been floating in the back of your mind this whole time. When we talk about starseeds, are we talking about literal beings with souls from other star systems? Or is this a powerful, living metaphor for something deep inside all of us?
So you've got these two main perspectives, right? The literal camp points to things like the thousands of eerily consistent hypnosis sessions or kids who seem to remember languages and places they could never have learned. On the other hand, the metaphorical view sees Starseed as a powerful modern archetype for our own divine potential, a story that gives us purpose and helps us grow, whether it's factually true or not.
But here's the twist. The real mind-bender. The experts we looked at suggest that maybe you don't have to choose. What if they're not mutually exclusive? What if it's possible to be both a literal being from another world and a living metaphor for all of humanity at the exact same time?
And this perspective just flips the whole script. It stops being an argument about what's true or false. The question becomes so much more interesting. How do we actually live our lives if we decide to embrace the wisdom from both of these ideas?
So, after looking at the mission, the personal struggles, the global impact, and the big identity question, what's the bottom line here? What's the core message we're really meant to walk away with?
When you really boil it all down, the ultimate mission isn't about proving where you came from. It's about what you do now that you're here. It's about integrating your own light and darkness. It's about grounding your unique energy right here on this planet. It's about finding your sense of belonging by what you contribute, not by trying to fit in. And it's about living this wisdom, whether you believe it's literal fact or a beautiful metaphor.
And that really just leaves us with this final, powerful thought to chew on. In the end, maybe the question of our cosmic address is less important than the choice we make in every single moment. The focus shifts from who you are to what you do. And that leaves every single one of us with a pretty important question to answer for ourselves.